1-2 test, 1-2 test. Now long-range effort here and hits the top corner. Brilliant stuff. Sweet. One-two test, 1-2 test. I am quite loud, and now I'm about to get a lot louder. Oh my God, someone make him stop, please. Beauty. very good evening and welcome to Penshurst Park for round 6 action of the NPL Men's New South Wales competition. The new boys, the SD Raiders, searching for their first victory of the season. St George City once again finding their struggles in 2026, but hoping to steer the ship on the right course here. Keep touch with that top 6. Great to have your company on a perfect evening for football. Clear blue skies. Sun beginning to set. Temperatures in the low 20s. SD Raiders will have first use of possession to start this one as well. My name is James Preston. Great to be with you. And underway now, SD Raiders searching for their first win of 2026. Will send it long early on here. Into the back momentarily was Wabi. No foul called early on though. Flicked on there from St George. Taken down nicely though by SD Raiders through the middle. Good control at the back and then digging deep. I'll find Figueria. And then tries to send it long, but that one's gone over the sideline. So SD Raiders showing their hand early here. Not looking to knock it around on the deck, instead looking to drive long. St George now with a long return serve with the throw. Trying to take it down in traffic, chipped over the top. There might be an early chance here for them to find the back of the net. Strong defence though from SD Raiders, and then the pull from St George. Clever work there at the back. Now McHugh Shaw delivering deep before it eventually links up here with Bevan, and Bevan with an awful pass really, under no pressure. Couldn't find Hannigan, who was in acres of space. So good early chance here for the Saints. Michio floats it forward and then tapped forward into the box. Unable to bring it under control. Bouncing here for SD Raiders, but great use of the body. This time from Tatafu. Aerial once again here. Neither team able to bring it down under control in the opening exchanges here. That's better from SD Raiders though. Now trying to get a little bit of time with ball at their feet. Hannigan will shift it out to this right-hand side. Nezovic turns it to the middle. Easily picked off in the end though from Jack Kenny. Took it nicely with the two hands above the head, almost like he was indicating he had a whopper there. Now SD Raiders floating it out to this right-hand side. Hannigan has made a run. Unable to link up with him though. Now it falls nicely here for St George. Tipping it forward and then linking up with Rosello, who turns it back to the middle. SD Raiders though not panicking. Eventually finding a safe clearance. Berry strong in the challenge. Now to Tafu. First time release. Not a particularly clean one. Lovely switch of the emphasis out wide. That'll be a tough one to keep in. They've done a great job here, St George City. In and away, trying to get around the work of Sabatu, and Sabatu very strong. Composed under pressure. And the attempted clearance then falling into the path of Figuera. So the opening 3.5 minutes here, largely dominated by St George. SD Raiders try and keep that one on the deck, but cut off once again. Pedersen trying to get above them. Strong challenge from SD Raiders. Now the counter-attack is on. Lovely slide, though, to cut out that one. Arriving into the path here of Hannigan once more, who's been busy in the opening exchanges. Hannigan searching for a cross. Blocked nicely there, though, from Michio. Now Monahan Vaika. No panic. Delivers well. Johan Pedersen getting above them once again, but Raiders come up with the scraps. Mako. McHugh Shaw links up out wide with Sabatu. He's got a lethal left boot on him, McHugh Shaw. This time delivers long. Cleared away nicely on that occasion by Michio, who hit the deck momentarily. Now they'll thread the needle and try to unleash Mitri. Mitri applying the pressure. Back it goes now from Bevan. Everett. Bevan once again. Happy to spend a little bit of time with ball at their feet here, SD Raiders. Sabatu. One turned away with the head. Taken down here by St George City. Another throw in to come, and in control here in the opening 5 minutes. Neither team with a strike on target yet, or any shot for that matter. Header not particularly convincing, and Saints nearly latched onto it. Might still be a chance here. Last touch off SD Raiders, so good field position once again. Home side pressing. Pedersen, and finding a little ball here for Paolo Mitri, turns it to the middle. Still might be a chance for Jackson. Jackson then sends it wide. Lofted pass, turned away with the head there by Hannigan. Back into the action. Now Pedersen with a clever flick on. Wider still it goes. Pedersen trying to take it down. For a moment they were lining up for the bicycle kick, but back and forward with the aerials, and then eventually the shot is taken, and it gets a glancing blow here from SD Raiders. So first corner of the match brought up for St George. So corner to come here from D'Amato. Decent delivery, and they got above them too. And then the strike first time wasn't a bad effort from Michio. Got plenty on it, but just couldn't direct it on target. So St George pressing. Raiders once again under the pump here. Fortunately, that has been a pretty continual theme throughout the season so far. Their first year in the top flight. Bevan. Figuera. And a carry here from McHugh Shaw. Finds a lovely pass down low. Such precision with his work. Chipping over the top. Ooh, nearly came up with a lucky deflection back into the path of support. Saints up along the sideline. Clip there. And referee onto it. Calls the foul. So 8 minutes gone, and Saints have had the better of the play so far, but some promising signs as well for SD Raiders. Tatafu. D'Amato. Now Paolo Mitri. Good first time touch, and then squeezes inside of Bevan. Sends it back to the middle. Was looking for Pedersen, but couldn't quite find him. And there's still a man down in back play here. I think it might actually be Michio. He hit the deck heavily, hasn't moved since. So Saints have had some reasonable form of late. A last up loss to NWS Spirit, but prior to that a 3-game unbeaten run. SD Raiders going down to Sydney United 58 last weekend, 1-0. Of course, the big out, though, for SD Raiders, no Sebastian Malfara. Sent off late in the piece against United 58. So a little bit to overcome with this one. Michaud back to his feet now. Still not looking 100% healthy though. There's a fair bit of a limp as he makes his way to the sideline. Well, for St George's sake, they'll be hoping that Michaud can continue, but a shake of the head, there'd be real question marks over that. St George City currently sitting in 10th. They've made a bit of a home for themselves around that mid to lower third part of the table. 1 win, 2 draws and 2 losses so far. SD Raiders with the 1 draw, just the solitary point so far. 4 defeats along the way. So it's been a tough initiation. Their first season here in the top flight. Taken down now by Solomon John Monaghan Vaika, and then knocked long to Motto on his bike. Cleared away by the Raiders. Monaghan Vaika, good control with the head, and then chipped wide there. Not a great delivery really from Paolo Mitri. That one should have been a little more crisp and to the feet. Saints will once more go marching forward though. Roughly 11 minutes having transpired here at Penshurst Park. Sun beginning to set. Pedersen, now Mitri with a nice little flick. Was looking to link up through the middle, but only found an SD Raider player. And now, Hannigan can start to wind up. Good carry from him. An option once more, but well shut down on this occasion by Jackson, who was travelling some distance to get there and blocks that attempted cross. Better play though from SD Raiders. And unfortunately here for Lewis Michaud, he is unable to continue, so an early change as Urson will come into the action. So the captain back onto the pitch. And Michaud's afternoon consists of all just 12 minutes. Well, that's a blow here for the home side. Now Sabatu battling but losing out momentarily. Mitri was pressing hard and trying to gain control of that ball. Smart touch there from Tomoto. Jackson. Taken down here. This time from Fernandez, who chips it over the top. Decent weight about it. Forcing a reaction from Kenny. Now Saints down that right-hand channel. Feeding a nice pass here from Mitri. Gets going in the right direction, but SD Raiders. Again, some class in the work there of McHugh Shaw, who's been very good so far for the visitors. And for those that also keeping tabs on the Football New South Wales futsal season. Certainly remember McHugh Shaw for his work with Mountain Magic. Very skillful player as well. Long drive from McHugh Shaw now. Again with decent weight. Allowing for a little bit of pressure here from SD Raiders. So whilst they won't come up with possession, they will hem them into a corner. So throw in to come now. Nice pass over the top there from Monaghan Vaika. Now Jackson, who has slotted into this left back position with the injury to Michaud. So a little bit of recalibration. And then heading to the centre. Lovely little in and away, checking his defender and then linking up. Wider still, it was nice movement there from Matthew Wabi. Raiders with the long throw and then Attempting to get it under control there was Rosello. Saints pinged on that occasion and the foul is called. Now Raiders through Bevan. Quick release. D'Amato strong in the challenge. Now for Pedersen. Here's the first chance of the match so far. Linking up with D'Amato inside the box. Was looking potentially for that early cross back to the middle. Couldn't find it. Still alive though. Now twisting and turning as Mitri couldn't get a shot away. And then a raised boot there from the Saints. Studs were showing and they made contact with the shin pads. There is the foul. Pressing and pressing here. St. George City to no avail as of yet. Q Shaw once again. Bevan. Lovely first time release on this occasion from Everett. Bevan now sends it back towards the middle. Looking for Fernandez. Went a little over his head. Instead will arrive here at the feet of Sabatu. Stays alive in the play. Now delivers deeper here for Mako. Mako back to McHugh Shaw and then for Bevan once again, who has a chance to open up the play now. Hannigan twisting away from D'Amato, then chipping over the top. Looking for the run here of Nazevic. Nazevic trying to get around. Jackson doing a good job though. A good pressure from Nazevic. Throw in to come. Nazevic once more, sending it deep. Awkward bobble as it arrives at the feet of McHugh Shaw. Sabatu out on this left-hand edge, beating one, beating two, trying to link up through the middle. Did a good job in the end. Back to Sabatu here. Dancing feet once more, beats a couple of players. Was the final touch from a Saint? No, it wasn't. It's that time perhaps a little bit too creative with the footwork. Long throw now from St. George City. Met there with the head by SD Raiders. Battle for it through the centre of the field. And a clipping there of Rosello who hits the deck. They've already lost Michio. Must say though, I don't think there was too much in the challenge. Referee just exercising a little bit of caution here though with Rosello. It's been a match devoid of chances so far in the opening 18 minutes. Can it come from a set piece though? We've had the one corner so far in favour of the home side. Quick release and then the one touch and turn. That's lovely from St. George City. Now navigating back towards the middle. Falls here for a little effort coming out there from Herson. Turned away though. Now for Tatafu to carry. Turning away from the pressure. Jackson. Tatafu, lovely first time touch. Finding Jackson once again. Tempted into the switch, but instead playing it along the back line. Berry somehow getting away with that. Out to the right-hand side it comes, and then they've crossed the sideline. And that will be an SD Raiders throw. Sabatu now getting us back underway. Out there by the head of Saints. Tomato up against Hannigan. Hannigan controls it well with the chest. And handball coming through from Peterson. McHugh Shaw once more looking over the top for Sabatu. Tough one to deal with right up along the sideline. And that one goes into touch once again. On throw once more from Saints. Sabatu there to meet it. Now Fernandez. They turn it back to the middle. Great control under pressure, and now they have a chance to carry here, SD Raiders. Plenty of space out wide. Oh, had they looked to the right-hand side, Hannigan was in acres of territory, completely unmarked. Now D'Amato trying to get around the outside, clipped, and that was a silly foul there from Everett. Didn't need to make a play at him. Monahan Vaika carrying forward, linking up with Johan Pedersen, who hits the deck, and now a chance for the counter-attack here for SD Raiders. Fernandez taking them on. Good challenge in the end from Monahan Vaika. And now, once again, Pedersen on the charge. Coolly chipped over the top, and then Hannigan. Good control. Now beats D'Amato. D'Amato comes again with the slide. Lovely tackle from him. Now Pedersen just couldn't get enough on it. The touch was a little too heavy. It was an awkward one to control right at the base of the body. Now a good chance for SD Raiders to carry once again. Mako linking up out wide with Sabatu. Back here for Mako once again. Approaching the halfway point in this first half. Only really seen the one shot, nothing on target as of yet from either team. Figuera and for McHugh Shaw once again looking wide and long and pinpoint accuracy to find Hannigan. Tomato battling well. Another glance at the shin pad there, and Hannigan wins the foul. We'll get on with things quickly. Chipping over the top, a lovely ball. First time touch wasn't too bad in the right direction, but a little bit too heavy there from Malbasa. Now Berry sends it out wide. Monahan Vaika, good first touch, opening up the play. Pedersen then hits the deck. A chance now once again for Fernandez to carry. In fact, on that occasion, that was Bevan getting involved. Now tries to find Fernandez. Long and over the top once again. Looking for Charlie Ragg. Heavily pressured though. Now a lovely pass, and Pedersen is onside. Here's a good chance now for Saints. Pedersen stopping on the run, gets another touch, opens up the space. Well blocked though from SD Raiders. The threat might not be done with just yet though. Still on the edge of the box here, Saints. They'll chip toward the back post. D'Amato is there, sends it towards the back post and just steered away by some desperate defence. McHugh Shaw was there. And then cleaned up by Figuera. Certainly the best chance of the match so far. I think if Pedersen had his time over again, might have gone for the direct approach with the early shot using the left boot. He's desperate to get it back onto the right. Down at the back here for SD Raiders. Looks like it might be Bevan. they're in conversation with Figuera. So 25 minutes gone, SD Raiders still in this contest, despite the recent pressure from Saints. Just need that one chance. They have looked likely when they've sent it out to this right-hand side with Cooper Hannigan. He's been in good touch so far. Figuera twisting, turning. Even there again. McHugh Shaw, though, will send it long. Looking for Malbassa and also Charlie Ragg. Couldn't find either. Now Sabatu with the throw in from the sideline. Flings it over the top. Oh, and then SD Raiders with an awkward little delivery there, which goes over the sideline. And as a result, throw in now for Saints once again with decent field position. Fling it forward. Little tip on with the chest and then cleared low. Eventually arrives in the path of Fernandez. Lovely little in and away from him. Beating his man, and as a result was taken down. Fancy if that was a little further upfield. Might well have been a card off the back of that. Not from his own side of the half, though. Even. Figuera. Identifies the run of Hannigan. Hannigan trying to get a touch on it. Couldn't quite get there and then was desperate to fling his body around the outside of Jackson, who shepherded it well into touch. Pedersen. Good battle here with Hannigan. Hannigan wins out. Mako. Sabatu. Not a great ball there from Sabatu. It's broken down a number of times on that left-hand side. You fancy if they continue out to this right-hand edge, that's where the bulk of the opportunities have been so far for SD Raiders. Long once again, Pedersen gets ahead to it. D'Amato trying to get above them, but Hannigan gets it under control. Now takes off, trying to use his speed. Linking there with Fernandez, who's dispossessed. D'Amato now can carry. Jackson on his outside in support. Heads back to the middle. Here's a chance for the Saints, or just across the face of goal. Rosello wasn't too far off the mark. That was a lovely movement from the home team. And it must have got some assistance as well, because they've called for a corner here. Lovely charge, though, from D'Amato. So chance for them to whip it in once again here. Second corner of the match now for the Saints. They've thrown bodies forward. D'Amato with the delivery, turned away off the head there from SD Raiders. Handball looked like from Saints. Play on for now. Then Everett with a quick release. And now the counter-attack is well and truly on. Here's a great chance for SD Raiders. Fernandez into the box. Can he find a finish? Oh, just wide. Wonderful end-to-end football from SD Raiders. There's a spark of life. Great touch from Everett in the process. And off they went. A nervy moment for St George. Now Pedersen is very close to being offside there. Flag stayed down. Figuera. McHugh Shaw. Snappy delivery to Sabatu. Final touch off Saints, so throw in to come. Everett. Under duress, but surviving that battle. Not a great attempted pass there in the end, though, from Nizevic. That one runs over the sideline once again. Long clearance up towards the likes of Rag and also Malbassa. Floated over the top again, looking for Fernandez. Been some sharpness about his work. He does look likely. Hannigan goes all the way back to Figuera. Chipping over the top, and Hannigan now on the run, but Jackson covering it nicely, taking no chances with it. And in the end, his clearance will hit the sideline official. Hannigan. Pressure there by D'Amato in the back. Referee had a look at it, but keeps the whistle away from the lips. And then a good challenge in the air there from Wabi. Oh, and Sabatu actually will be called for a foul. That's a bit of a tough one. And D'Amato also being called out here, just a caution you would imagine. That was for the contact on Hannigan. Referee just laying down the law, no more of that. So 31 minutes gone here in this game. It's come alive a little more inside the past 3 or 4. Both teams coming close. D'Amato challenging Hannigan. Hannigan once again winning out. Fernandez, lovely touch, and then looking for a pass here for Rag. Pressing though is Nizevic, not a great release, and that was nearly directly into the path of Luka Nizevic. First corner of the match coming up here for SD Raiders. They have rattled St George City in the last couple of minutes. Can they capitalise now? Nizevic to swing it in. Long delivery to the back post. They got to head to it. Sabatu's there, and on the follow-up, the second header, beware of it. They find a finish. Great delivery from Nizevic. They're all steaming through. So Nizevic with a great feed. In it goes, and 1-0 the score now. SD Raiders take the lead in the hunt for their first victory of the season, the first in the top flight for NPL Men's New South Wales. 1-0 after 32 minutes. And really, outside of the past 5 minutes, they haven't looked like scoring, but suddenly there's threats across the park. It's a mesh of bodies. It might well have been Everett. Got the final touch. Either him or Mako for mine. Now St George City having a crack, but not quite finding the target. So Hannigan. Delivering it deep now, Figuera. I would love to get into half-time in the ascendancy here, SD Raiders. Apply that pressure. Long once again over the top. Oh, once more taking a real chance with it. Healy ended up into the path of Malbassa. And it will indeed find a way to Malbassa now. Chance to strike from the edge of the box. Directly at Jack Kenny, who makes the save. We're mucking around with it at the back here, St George City, and they're being punished for it. D'Amato sends it back. Tartafu then chipping over the top. deep once again here, this time for McHugh Shaw. So they're under control at the moment here, SD Raiders. Saints completely rattled. Saints marching forward, but well taken down here. Once again from SD Raiders. Throwing to come now, though, for St George City. Now Raiders linking up and then finding a lovely pass here into open space for Hannigan, who's on the charge once again. Can they get two in quick succession? Hannigan, great delivery. There's a chance for another finish, and they find it. What a brilliant ending there. This time it is Nazevich, who was the provider on their first attempt. That's a tremendous goal. A great release from Hannigan. Found its mark, and blink and you'll miss it. 2-0 the score. SD Raiders in complete control. In fact, it's Malbasa who's got the final touch there. Nazevich was right next to him. He left it, and Malbasa, it looks like, potentially knocking that one in. Apologies, not Malbasa. We'll check in on that soon. Now D'Amato. Great first touch here on the edge of the box. St George desperately needing something. Now that was close to a handball off the effort from Rosello. Waved away from the referee. Chipped back to the middle once again. Hannigan cleverly then chesting it into the arms of Figuera. Now Hannigan sending it long. It's all over the pitch at the moment. Now Bassa applying the pressure. D'Amato got there first. Now Nazevich. Bevan, McHugh Shaw. Great first touch. And managing to get away from the attention. It's clever work there from Charlie Ragg. Now Fernandez knocking it deep. Bevan. Pressure there from Pedersen. Sending it long once again. Sabatu getting above them. Pedersen is offside now, so the flag is raised. Nothing going right here for the Saints. 2-0 the score. And more than just maintaining that lead into half-time, SD Raiders have of course increased it. Completely deflated this Saints side. Long once again. Now taken down. Space here for Hannigan on this right-hand edge, and they find him once more. Takes it down, now chipping over the top. Now Bassa then trying to flick it on. Charlie Ragg was pushing through. I think he might have actually been the man that finished that one. Second goal there for Ragg. Now chipping over the top. McHugh Shaw takes it down with the chest. Well, that was clever as well. Sending it back towards Hannigan, where there was acres of space. Long once more, Nazevich on the charge. This time not quite getting the bounce. Kenny will get on with things quickly. Urgent. Out to D'Amato. Tatafu for Berry. Tatafu carrying, trying to link up there with D'Amato. Not finding his man though. Clever work in the end from Mako, who sends it back, and then wider still they go. Once more, playing it around the back here with McHugh Shaw. Bevan then chipping over the top. Let's open up the space, and Charlie Ragg comes up with possession. Albassa pressing forward as well. So 40 minutes gone. But a few stoppages in this first half. I'd imagine at this stage maybe 3 or 4 minutes added. Everett getting above them, taking it down. Now Malbassa, well, there was a chance to twist and open up the play out to that left-hand side, but they didn't look. Jackson all the way back here for Kenny. Well, this time dispossessed, and now D'Amato. Start to carry forward. Everett in pursuit. Did enough to get the ball away from his control, and then Hannigan picked up the scraps. Now Everett clearing upfield. Turned away with the head. Fernandez then takes it down. Good control, met there by Jackson. Then for D'Amato. Lovely pass, and then trying to link up with Pedersen. Now that one is still genuinely a chance, but Pedersen stopped on the run initially, and in the end won't get there. That one's showing a lack of desire there from Pedersen. I dare say the St George coaching staff will not be particularly pleased with this first half. SD Raiders, though, they've seen off the first 20 or so minutes of significant pressure from Saints, and then have taken 2 good opportunities and converted them. And since that point, have been in complete control. Martu with the head, and then taken down here by Saints. Pedersen dispossessed, but there was attention from behind by Sabatu. No thoughts of setting up there on the edge of the box, simply getting on with things for the Saints. Now D'Amato stepping away from that left-hand side and back towards the middle. Mako cleaning it up quite easily and then delivering short. Oh, gets it back once again. That's clever play from SD Raiders. Lovely football. Now a chance to carry here with Charlie Ragg. Ragg trying to get around 2 defenders. Lucky deflection. Then finds Fernandez. Now wide for Hannigan. Searching for a third. Malbassa got a touch on it and nearly got the turn. Malbassa now finding it. Maka got away from 2 of them. Still a chance here. Can they get the finish? No, directly into the path of Kenny, who stood tall. Again, though, better play from SD Raiders, who've really come alive in the last 15 minutes. Saints need to up the tempo here. They haven't matched it. Tatafu. Out then for Berry. Berry cutting it out to this right-hand side. Back to Berry once again. So approaching the final minute of regulation time in this first half. Tatafu, urgent, under pressure. Pedersen was making the run, but once again stopped on it. Time perhaps a little too far in front of him, though. Figueroa happy to let that one roll for a while before Pedersen eventually arrives to apply some pressure, forcing the pick up. A long, high clearing kick looking for Hannigan. And Jackson meeting it with the head. That one heads over the sideline. Hannigan floating over the top, looking for Fernandez. Fernandez keeping it alive. And then Hannigan, strong in the challenge. Beats one, now gets it off a second. Still staying alive. Great first half here from Hannigan. Impossible to dispossess at this point. And should earn the corner here. Well done from Hannigan. And in fact, we won't have time for the corner, so very minimal additional time added on. I believe only a minute in the end. And they've stuck right to it. SD Raiders taking a little bit too long to get underway with that corner. And there seems to be a bit of confusion in the middle, but overall they'll love that first half as they search for their first victory in the top flight of the NPL Men's New South Wales competition. At the break, SD Raiders, the visitors, had the lead 2-0. Welcome back to Penshurst Park. About to get back underway here for the second half of NPL Men's New South Wales Round 6 action, the final match of Saturday. And ST Raiders, having endured the early onslaught from the Saints the first 20 minutes, have come away with a 2-0 lead at half-time. I believe a double to Charlie Ragg, who's been in the right spot on both occasions. Rosello feeding a pass and then offside. Here's Paolo Mitri, so that one's not going to work either. Now Figuera. Look to clear his lines here. Long delivery looking for Malbassa. Turned away with the head by Tartafu, and then onward further still by Monahan Vaika. Jackson. Malbassa once again, this time climbing on the back of Tartafu. And as a result, foul is called. Now, this is better, though, from the Saints. There seems to be a bit more urgency about their play. And in fairness, they have to play with a bit of that. Down 2-0. Berry. Now bring it wide here for Matthew Wabi. Wabi up alongside Charlie Ragg. Ragg ushered away by Wabi, who turns it back on the inside. A late hit there for Mine. That could have easily been dealt with. Now Monahan Vaika with a wild shot that is nowhere near the target. We had plenty of time there too, Monahan Vaika, but just leant back with the shot. Couldn't get his body over the top of the ball. Once more long here from McHugh Shaw. Tartafu takes it down with the chest and then strong in the contact, but pinged on that occasion. Here's Fernandez. Jackson. Tartafu. Carrying it forward and then linking up through the middle. Monahan Vaika staying alive in the play. Now gets it at his feet. We'll knock it all the way back here to Berry. Berry then sending it wide once again. Jackson pushing forward but dispossessed. Clever play once more here from Hannigan. He's off the mark though for that quick throw, and as a result will be forced back to the mark. Hannigan then with a very long throw up and over halfway. Turned away by Tartafu. Once more getting on with things quickly. Having them back is Charlie Ragg. Gets it under control now. Beats one, beats two, and then heads back towards the middle. Dispossessed now as Rosello chips it forward. And now on target with a genuine chance here. Onside they go. And that one is in the back of the net. Well, as easy as you like. The Saints turn on the switch. And the man who's just come onto the field, Hugo Makata, will score the goal. That's his first touch, and he comes away with the strike. So all too simple in the end. The Saints are back in the contest. 2-1. The Raiders falling asleep at the back. So Hugo McAteer gets the goal. Well, they've awoken from their slumber. Malbassa. Then for Fernandez. Dancing. Maka. Sabatu out on this left-hand edge. Maka opening up his body, and that first touch also as a result opens up the play. Then for McHugh Shaw. Lovely work here again from SD Raiders. Sabatu trying to find an opening. Monahan Vaika chips it over the top, and now McAteer. Once again looking dangerous. Good balance from McAteer. Monahan Vaika chips it over the top. Not a great delivery, though. Not much Rosello could do with that. Been a couple of moments in this second half that I'm sure Monahan Vaika would wish that he had over again. Tatafu got above them. Now Monahan Vaika. Maka, Sabatu threading the needle down the sideline. And Sabatu forcing them to head all the way back to Jack Kenny, who then clears it with a booming boot. That one knocked the wrong direction, though. Mitri trying to chip it over the top for Makata once again. McAteer, I should say. And then clipped there by Nazevich. Play on the call, though. Now a chance to carry here with Fernandez from the edge of the box. Decides not to pull the trigger himself. They'll knock it back toward the middle. I'd like to see another shot taken there by Fernandez. They really haven't had many, and they've buried the opportunities they have had. Now Bevan cuts it off and then tries to head back towards the middle of the field, but that one heads over the sideline. Jackson up for McAteer. It's really made a difference since coming on, not just for that goal, but each touch has been with an air of class about it. Now Fernandez getting away from them. Heading towards the box. Chance to unleash here and get the shot away, but just danced a little too long and was set upon as a result. Now quick release here. Hugo McAteer is just offside. A little body check. McHugh Shaw was well positioned. Let him drift and gets the call. Long once again, this time looking for Charlie Ragg. He's got a double already. Awkward control there from Paolo Mitri. Monahan Vaika can't really get a touch on it either. That's a lovely delivery though. Finding Rosello. That was clever. Using the underside of the foot. Rolling over the ball but then couldn't link up, and as a result Cooper Hannigan can now start to take off and takes plenty of metres. Good speed about Hannigan here. Still driving up towards the box. And then a final touch there from Hannigan. Here's the one that sees the ball over the byline. Goal kick to come. Quick restart now from the Saints. Wabi. Back to whence it came. Tatafu. Now can carry up towards halfway. Chipping over the top. Mitri keeps his onside. Great first touch. Now a chance to get it on target. Not a good strike from Paolo Mitri, and had oodles of time, oodles of space. Sabatu arrived only after he got boot to ball. That deserved better. (2-1) it remains, so they have seen a response to open this second half. That wasn't a strong effort though from Mitri. Figuera ushering his teammates forward and then clearing his lines. Tatafu gets above them, meets it with the head. Now Everett chipping over the top, looking for Fernandez, takes it down with the chest. Oh, and then a strong challenge from in behind from Monahan Vaika. It was all ball though, so play on. Now Malbassa jamming in, trying to come up with that loose ball. Will win the throw-in though. Hannigan set to take. Fernandez twisting away and then linking with Everett. Everett turns it back to the middle. Not a great delivery though. Rosello pressured. McHugh Shaw wins out. Now Fernandez can carry once again. Got past two of them, but final touch was a little too heavy. Now Rosello linking up with McAteer. Then dispossessed. Good battle there from Rag, and now Fernandez carries it forward. Links up here with Malbassa back towards the middle. Takes a deflection and then taken by Jack Kenny. Monahan Vaika then finding a lovely pass down the sideline. Well, shut down in the end, though, from SD Raiders. Hannigan there once again. Rosello challenging him. Able to link up with Everett, though, who chips it over the top. Malbassa couldn't get a control on it. But the flag is up regardless. So it remains 2-1 after 11 minutes of play in this second half. So closing in on the hour mark. Two latish goals from SD Raiders, an early one in the second half here for this man. McAteer, who gets the shot away but blocked. Now tries to take it down. Eventually knocked away by Bevan. Tartafu delivering deep here for his own keeper in the form of Kenny. Oh, and then Kenny really playing with fire on that occasion. Berry, though, nice little nick on with the head. Now carrying here. Wabi takes off. Not a great run in the end. Easy pickings for Everett. Rag. Sabatu, then all the way deep here for Figuera. Lovely weight on that pass over the top for Rag. Got a touch on it, a little bit too heavy. And then taken away by Paolo Mitri. Sabatu. For Fernandez. Good control under pressure, then through the legs of Wabi. Geez, that was clever. Now still carrying here. Here's Fernandez, sends it wide. Good chance building for Nazevich. Then for Hannigan, who tries to turn it back to the middle. Eventually cleared here by St. George, but Nazevich is all over the shop at the moment. Great speed to apply pressure in multiple locations and will win the throw-in. Quick restart here. Everett knocking it deep. Bevan all the way back to Figuera. Then sends it out to this left-hand side. Sabatu doing a good job to get something on it, but he was already over the sideline. Mitri then turns it to the middle. Urgent trying to cart it forward. Nazevich then trying to get through the legs there of Monahan Vaika. Mitri, nice turn on this occasion. Quick release is a good one as well. Rosello with a chance to carry. Can he whip it in? Sabatu shutting down the space. Rosello back on the left boot. And then meekly turning over possession. Tartafu then cleaning up the scraps. Might still be on here for the Saints. Monahan Vaika. Tartafu looking for the right option. None offering themselves further forward, so forced to go backwards to supporting man. Then Berry, and then cleaned up the front there. Play on the call, though, as now Nazevich carts it forward, looking to link up with Charlie Rag. Not a great delivery. Turned away with the head once again. Taken down here by Berry. Monahan Vaika. And they've called a stoppage to play there. John eventually got back to his feet, but not before the referee intervened. And will remain in control here for St. George. So 2-1 it remains. Tartafu sending it wide. Mitri desperate to keep it in. Does the first job, but seen off very quickly there by Charlie Rag. Wabi looking to fling this one long and deep into the box. Decent delivery. McAteer is there. Rosello got a hand to it. It was the top of the arm, but certainly That was an obvious one for the referee. Pushed through, it was a little bit too hot for him to handle. Flicked on, plenty of speed, and now Monahan Vaika finds a good pass here. Good chance out wide now as they send it back to the middle, but far too close to Figuera. Not much they could do with that one. Looks like they have made another change here at half-time. St. George, Oscar Goldtekin is out there too. Hannigan to the middle, looking forward. Nizevic dispossessed once again. Monahan Vaika are now on the carry. They can't it forward. Monahan Vaika stays alive in the play. He's got a chance to put in a cross now. Floats it back to the middle. Good finish. That's a wonderful finish, in fact. Rosello was there, but it's Goldtekin who gets the final touch on it. A difficult one to finish. It was in behind the body. Managed to cart his left leg around the ball and then steer it beyond the work of Figuera. And in a space of 15 minutes, that 2-0 advantage has been eradicated by the Saints, and we are back to level peggings. And it's the two substitutes from half-time. Inspired changes. McAteer and Goldtekin both collecting goals. Game on here. McAteer once again, now chipping it over the top. Well, Raiders have gone to sleep. Nizevic in a battle for that one. Everett carts it forward. Quick release, and geez, that was heavy contact there on Rag. Could probably hear it through the effects mic. Not a great release then from Sabatu. Play on now with Monahan Vaika. Can he link up? Short delivery on this occasion for McAteer, and then McAteer's pass was far too heavy. There's a good chance there for Monahan Vaika. There's a caution here for Urjan as well. In fact, Berry it is. A couple of cautions now from our referee, but no cards delivered. Hugh Shaw, Figuera, Everett, high press is on here from the Saints. Now a long delivery over the top from Figuera, looking for Hannigan. Got on his bike and got there very quickly, but he was all over the top of Jackson, and as a result the foul is called. So half-time 2-0 by the time we hit 60 minutes, just about. Locked up once again, so essentially we just rule out what's happened in the past hour. Start again. New game in this final 30. Kenny knocking it long. Sabatu trying to get there in time and did a pretty good job here up against Mitri, and now Rag. Once again, copy and knock for his troubles. Mitri over the top, and there's a real bit of momentum here for the Saints. They've upped the tempo. Raiders needing to go with them. Nizevic feigned to make a touch and now collects it. Driving forward, Nizevic from the edge of the box, all swirling, forcing a great save out of Kenny. Well, that almost took Kenny by surprise. Nizevic, initially it looked like he was going to deliver that one onto the spot, but went for it himself and nearly snuck it in. So corner to come now for SD Raiders. Nizevic heads to the flag. Can he deliver? Drilling it in. Kenny out to meet it. Palming it away with two hands. Hannigan once more here. Well, look to deliver from the sideline. Long release into the box, looking for McHugh Shaw. Flicked on, and Kenny forced into a good save once again. That time it was rather special from Fernandez. I'm going to say crowding the keeper. However, the claim was, of course, that he was outside the box holding the ball. So 50-50, and it favours the Saints. They get on with things quickly here. Into the path of Berry. Berry now can carry. Wabi. Rag. That one over the sideline. And no touch from SD Raiders. Sabatu looking for Fernandez. Pressured there by Tartafu. Now Monahan Vaika. McHugh Shaw shutting down the space and then chipping over the top. Malbassa in a battle here with Berry, and he has the speed to burn him. Berry recovers nicely. Another corner coming up, you'd imagine. No, they're going to say a goal kick. Well, that is an interesting call. That one chipped over the top, but nobody chasing. Cleaned up nicely from Hannigan. Back to Figuera. That elusive first win remains elusive here for SD Raiders. A 2-0 lead evaporated in an instant. Tartafu heading it back to the middle. If you're just joining us, of course, SD Raiders half-time lead of 2-0. Saints have come storming back into contention and might indeed find the lead here. Monahan Vaika cutting back in. Everett there to meet him, but another corner coming up for the Saints. Three corners apiece now. SD Raiders have already scored from a corner, as Jackson will look to knock this one in. Throw numbers forward here, Saints. Only two players outside of the box. Jackson with the delivery, long and at the back post. Then Monahan Vaika trying to knock it in, and they will find a goal. The flag stays down, and St George, can you believe it? They're in front out of absolutely nowhere. They were dead and buried at half time, but they'll get a third goal on the board now. And it looks like it's Paolo Mitri who got the final touch on it. 3-2 the score. How quickly a game can turn. And St George City in front, can you believe it? Hunting a second victory of the season. Not sure what's happened here for SD Raiders. They look to be in complete control at the break. And we were still seeing some of those less than desirable characteristics from their play continue over into the beginning of this second half, St George, but much like SD Raiders in the first half, and the opportunity has emerged here in the second, they have buried it. Now McHugh Shaw. Sabatu. Do they start to up the tempo here, SD Raiders? They need to. Once more. That one nearly falling in the path of Rosello. Chipped over the top, looking for Hannigan. Mako also pushing through. Now there's a finish coming through, if you don't mind. Well, that was pinpoint. This game has got so many twists and turns. And it's Cooper Hannigan who finds a finish. Charging through. A mighty effort. Pouncing on the loose ball. And coming up trumps, we are locked up at 3 apiece. Non-stop action to start this second half. Can you believe it? We've had 4 goals in about 20 minutes. Oh, don't go anywhere. Primetime action for your Saturday evening. Sabatu turns it away. Hannigan this time sends it forward. Looking for a passage over the top. Mako was thereabouts. Good strong challenge. Now delivered back to the middle once again. And made a change as well here, SD Raiders. Margu is on. Now Saints clearing their lines once more. All in the air at the moment. Now taken down by Nezevic. Nezevic twisting a turn and beating that first man. Will send it wide. Lovely ball here for Sabatu. Wanted that first time release. Trying to recover. Mitri turning away once again. They had the lead for merely moments. Now Everett takes it down. We'll send it back out to that right-hand side. Sabatu. Everett. Mitri getting a touch on it. Once again taken down this time from Marcic, who's out there now for SD Raiders. Lovely switch of play here from Nezevic. Out for Hannigan. Hannigan beating one. Carting it forward. Now using his speed once again. Hannigan from the edge of the box. Oh, that one not too far away. Support was coming. Looks like another change is about to be made here. This time, Rosello heading to the sideline for the Saints. And Jesse Fotty into the action for the home side. Still plenty of time to go. 18 minutes left, plus injuries and stoppages. Long once again, this time from Jack Kenny, and they get a result. Now this is in a good position. So Eramugu out there as well for SD Raiders. He's in the 37, might have a little something to say. Standing over the top of this ball, though, is Erjan. So will it be a case of Captain Fantastic here for Tariq Erjan? Erjan with the strike, an awkward one to deal with, but Figuera does well, skidding off the surface. And now knocking it long. Bassett with a great touch, takes it down. Sends it towards the middle here for Marcic, who then opens up the play, looking for Eramugu. Nezevic shutting down the time once again. Good pressure from Nezevic. Eramugu with the throw now. Tilted away with the head. Hugh Shaw up against McAteer. Fotty with a lovely first time release over the top. McAteer is there. Heads it forward. Eventually steered away by Hannigan. Eramugu got a slight little glance on it and was trying to turn. Wabi, though, shut down the space. and ultimately made contact with Eramugu, and that will be another foul called. So high tension, high drama at Penshurst Park. Raiders still searching for their first victory ever in the NPL Men's New South Wales competition. Kenny does a great job there to stay inside the 18-yard box. Short release once again. Now pressure being applied by Cox Barlow, who's out there for SD Raiders. Nice weight on that one, just over the top, and McAteer couldn't quite latch onto it. McHugh Shaw sending it long. Cox Barlow getting there and getting above them. Tips it on. Eramugu and trying to shut down the space as well. Sabatu. Nezovic. And McHugh Shaw with a big clearance. Right into the backside on that occasion of Fotty. And that one nothing to snuff at. Sabatu flicking on. Eramugu. Closing down the space, forcing a clearance on a hand Vaika. Composed with that delivery. And Fotty does a good job to earn the throw in. Sabatu and McAteer was looking for the run. McHugh Shaw just had a little jumper pull there, and he'll get a talking to as well. Again, no card coming out. But this is a golden opportunity here for St George, right on the edge of the box. Be Matthew Jackson to feed this one in. They're all lined up on the far side of the box. Be looking to hit just over that penalty spot. Jackson with a good release. They get numbers in the air and nearly steered into the back of the net. Figueroa was left flat-footed. It had beaten him just a little wide of that post. Remains 3 apiece. So 12 minutes of regulation time remaining. You'd imagine maybe 4-5 at this stage of additional time for injuries and stoppages. Now Fotty gets a heavy touch on it, does a great job to keep it in the field of play. Now Eramugu turns it back to the middle for Cox Barlow, just out in front of him. Geez, there's been some nervy moments from both teams defensively. McAteer now looking to link up. The flag stays down. Here's a good chance now for the Saints. They try to turn it back on the inside. There was contact in the box. More than contact. They point to the spot, the referee. Paolo Mitri was on the ball. For mine, he'd already lost control of it, then was taken to ground, but it won't matter. Referee has pointed. There won't be any VAR. And in a moment, the Saints will have a chance to lead once again. High drama at Penshurst. Well, this match has had so many twists and turns. It's making roller coasters look rather humble at the moment. And a yellow card here on the sideline as well for one of the SD Raiders players. So plenty to deal with. Seems like an eternity since that whistle was blown. Sure, the nerves are building here for Tarek Ercan. Figuera playing some mind games here with the captain of St. George City. Along with Monahan Vaika, but it will be Goltekin who'll have the attempt now. So he's already knocked one in since entering the action in this second half. And Figuera mouthing off here, trying to get into the head of Goltekin. This is one of the more extravagant displays from a keeper, facing down an attempt from the penalty spot. Goltekin trying to keep his nerve here, has the strike and finishes it. A double for Goltekin off the bench in the second half. Once more gives the lead for the Saints. Andy Ellicott delivered here to SD Raiders as well. 4-3 the score. Well, this is incredible. We've had 5 goals since the resumption of play in the second half. And Oscar Goltekin has a second. (4-3). Defence certainly not the winner here today. Is there another twist in this tale? Can SD Raiders find yet another goal? Palomitri will now head to the sideline as well. Looks like Roman Kalina about to enter the action. As Raiders go deep here with Hannigan. So 9 minutes remaining. Hannigan. Knocking it long here for Eramugu. Everett. Now McHugh Shaw. They've had this game won twice over, SD Raiders. So too have the Saints though. It's just been one of those evenings. McHugh Shaw. Then sending it wide out for Cooper Hannigan. Great control from him. Try to get the second touch on it. Rosello then clearing his lines. Everett. Now McHugh Shaw twisting and turning, delivering back here for Everett. Then opening up on the right-hand side of the field. Chance to carry here for Hannigan. Hannigan getting closer towards that box. Linking up with Nezovic and then easily knocked away by the Saints. Rag sending it deep. Bevan, Everett up towards halfway. Linking now with McHugh Shaw. Bevan. Back over the top. Finding Marcic. Good use of the body. Controlling that one up with the chest and then staving off the advances of the defence. Plenty of urgency here in the play from SD Raiders. Certainly enough time for them. 6.5 to go of regular time. Q Shaw this time nearly finding a passage over the top. Sabatu then applying the pressure, clearing once again is St. George. McAteer. Headed all the way back now for Figuera. Hannigan over the top. Long delivery once again. A little bit of a lull here, almost a case of the calm before the storm. Just get the feeling there's something left in this game. One more goal, but what way does it fall? Approaching the final 5 minutes. Kenny in no rush to get on with things. Now knocks it deep. McAteer once again the intended target. Slips off ahead into the arms of Figuera. Eramugu trying to nick it on. Falls here for Monahan Vaika. Monahan Vaika now taking off to this left-hand side. Tries to squeeze between a couple of defenders. Sabatu doing a good job, and now they look to send. Try and link up out wide here. Plenty of pressure on Cox Barlow. Gets the quick throw. Nizevic turns it to Sabatu through the middle. Got a touch to it. Cleared away though from Foti. And a free kick here in a good position for SD Raiders. Do they think about the long-range effort? Still a man on the deck here too for St George. It's Hugo McAteer who's down and clutching at the ankle. There's another walking wounded, another man down here. It's running repairs, this time clutching at a neck. Not sure who that is though there. It might actually be Berry for St George City. Thomas Santarossa out there now as well for SD Raiders in the 11. So a mass amount of changes for both teams here. Eramugo, Cox Barlow, Santarossa, Marcic all into the action for SD Raiders. Urchin, of course, I should say, came on early for Michio St George. Foti out there as well in the second half. Oscar Goltekin came on at the break and has scored 2 goals since that point. Roman Kalina out there as well, and Hugo McAteer, of course. Another change at the break. Got the first one for St George City. McAteer making a long walk towards the sideline, and Berry is back up to his feet. So Nizevic from a static start. Does he think for the direct option to test out Kenny? He has already tried from range in this match. 2 minutes of regular time. Nizevic has the strike, sends it deep, or found the head of Sabatu, who got plenty on it but just couldn't steer it into the back of the net. Another caution here from the referee. So approaching the final minute of regular time. No indication as of yet as to how much additional time for injuries and stoppages there will be. There was very little in that first half. A minute exactly. Now Kenny knocks it long. Out towards the sideline. And there's another yellow card that's come out, this time for the St George coaching box. Now McHugh Shaw with a chance to carry. Chipping over the top once again. All falling momentarily into no man's land. Eventually cleared away from St George City. What an almighty comeback this would be. Down 2-0 at the break. Back in front 3-2. Only to work for it once again. 2 late goals. Monahan Vaika. Then chipping forward. And now cleared away from Nizevic. And there's going to be 4 additional minutes at a minimum for injuries and stoppages. That is enough time here for the SD Raiders. Perhaps not to get the 3 points, but to get something out of this game. They certainly deserve it. Q Shaw dispossessed, and now Goltekin trying to open up a bit of space to unleash that lethal left foot. Jackson delivering deep under pressure here from Raiders. Cleared away once again, so 30 seconds of those 4 minutes have already transpired. They go by very quickly. Hannigan knocking it long, looking for Eramuku. Lovely ball, that one. Now a chance if it falls nicely here. Just out of the reach of Santa Rosa, though. Great delivery once again from Cooper Hannigan. Once more, Kenny simply says, let's loft it high. McHugh Shaw pushed in that contest. They're ticking down the seconds here, St. George City. It's nothing expensive, nothing flash. Just ensuring they clear their lines as quickly as possible. Hannigan chipping over the top once again. Finding the chest and then dragged down in a good position once more. Marcic now really arcing up. Well, that was almost a flashback to Zinedine Zidane back in the day. Instead it was the chest bump, not the head. So now Nezevic will have a do-over here. This one significantly closer compared to the last attempt. Surely he goes direct at goal. Less than 2 to go from that initial 4 minutes of additional time. Nezevic standing over the top of it. They're all lined up on the edge of the box here. Hannigan, the only man waiting for the rebound. Nezevic has the strike. Awkward one to deal with. It's hit the side of the netting. I think they've gone off early. There's a man who's hit the deck. Well, there's a lot that's gone on there. Now, some of the SD Raiders fans went off early, but simply no way you could have had that side netting moving like that. The ball going in. That was around the corner of the post. So 4-3 it remains. I'm trying to burn down the clock here, but of course this will simply require more time to be added on. Looks like it might well be Erjan who's down once again. That's a little bit of gamesmanship. Slowly back to his haunches, and it's another neck issue here. You've never seen a game with so many neck issues. In terms of those additional minutes, they're about to expire right now, so clock ticks over to 49 for this second half. And right on cue, Erjan back to his feet. So I'd imagine we'd still have probably 90 extra seconds to come here because there's been a significant delay. Referee will have a little check of the watch here. Erjan will head to the sideline here. And no prizes for guessing where this one goes. Long and high from Kenny. Once again drives it forward. Booming clearance. Hannigan there to meet it. Heads it forward. Taken down momentarily by Nazevich. Now a long-range effort that nearly had Figuera scurrying back to his goal mouth. Gets on with it very quickly. Now Hannigan takes off. Chipping long once again. Erjan back in place and then once again cleared away long. Well controlled there from Figuera. Out to McHugh-Shaw on this left-hand side. Knocking it long once again. SD Raiders continuing to ask questions. No answers as of yet. St George knocking that one over the sideline. Well, this has got to be close to time now. Hannigan knocks it deep once again. Looking for Eramugu. Turned away with the head. Another check of the watch. McHugh-Shaw knocking it back to the middle. Not a great delivery. Everett takes it down. Tries to get it under control. Chipping over the top. Once again looking for Rag. Another clearance here from St George City. They've become experts at it. And they have done enough. Can you believe it? The comeback complete. 2-0 down at the break. And they were looking very much out of the contest. A subpar first 45. But they turned it around in the second. A seesawing encounter. They went out to 3-2. SD Raiders got one back to really make them push for it. And then, of course, from the penalty spot with perhaps a bit of controversy about the call. But the Saints go marching on with all 3 points. The full-time score here at Penshurst Park in round 6 of the NPL Men's New South Wales. St George City 4, the SD Raiders 3.